Caroline. Thank you so much.
I don't know if that's how you kick off.
Absolutely. That's how you kick off the first PowerPoint
That's
conference.
how I kick off in it.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know, I have a little web series called Read, Watch, Listen, where either I, that was the old days, or someone else recommends a book, a movie, and a piece of music that they love. And it's kind of blown my mind, the direction that it's taken, kind of outside of anything I ever could have imagined. The things that people come up with are so heartfelt and poignant, and I've been introduced to so many things I've never heard of. And so today, with some of the speakers, with time allowing, we're gonna do some read, watch, listens, and Caroline has agreed to do that. So I'm gonna just ask her about her choices and have her tell a little bit about why they're her choices. And you guys might wanna take notes, because I've learned so much doing these. So anyway, are you ready? Okay. So her read recommendation was the Tao Te Ching. And I first heard about it from Wayne Dyer, who quotes it all the time. But tell me why the Tao Te Ching is important to you.
I studied comparative religion in college. That's what the direction I was going in for a while. And I was looking for, that's where I got exposed to it. And I was looking for, I don't know, answers. You know, I wanted to like get a master's degree in God. And you know what I mean? Like I wanted to know everything. And I felt like with all the religious texts and whatever I was reading, I was like, yeah, sure, I got it. I was cocky and 20, you know. So anyways, but then I got to the Tao Te Ching and it affected me. It was at 20, I was hard to affect. I knew everything and whatever. And finally, I was reading words and concepts and lack of concepts, and that was forcing me. The way it's written forces the reader to engage with it, to make sense of it, and that kind of experiential reading transformed me in a way that I didn't think. I thought I was above being transformed. Right. This like a long time ago, and it affected me. It affected a kid who was unaffectable.
It sounds like you were a seeker and you were reading all kinds of things, obviously, if you were studying comparative religions, and it must have felt like truth. Like
it did.
It just felt like truth.
Because it doesn't, it's so, it's really hard to capture infinite concepts using finite words. And I think this comes the closest to capturing infinite concepts using finite words.
Beautifully said, said. And if you haven't ever been exposed to it, one cool thing about it and about a lot of spiritual texts is that you get something different every time you go to it.
Yeah.
Because I think you only get what you're ready for.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're reading it and it doesn't make any sense at all, and then 10 years later you're like, oh my God. Yeah. It's a cool one. Thank you.
Sure.
And her watch, I love it. It's any Netflix comedy specials, or are there some specific ones?
True. So my secret dream is to be a stand-up comedian, and don't tell.
You want to try something on here?
So, no, I'm not ready. I also, like, I have a lot of, I've been going, my father passed away a couple years ago, and that transformed my life in all the ways that losing a parent does, including having to take a job, like take over a company that I don't have any business taking over, and all these things. So anyways, what I found grounded me was watching people share their version of their life experience in a way that was funny. And like the sadder the experience, the funnier it was. Which was great for me because it was so sad in my world, so it must be super funny, like in a minute, I guess. And so, yeah, watching people have their own personal experiences of their lives, and getting reminded that I have a say in the perspective I take on my own life.
Beautifully said. That's one of my guilty pleasures too, actually. I don't watch much television at all, but you can always win when you turn on a Netflix
Yeah.
comedy special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And any of all of on the Netflix stand-up comedy, they're so good.
Yeah,
They're really
whoever's
good.
curating that does a really
Yeah,
good job. They're
really good
always
job.
funny, and they're always entertaining, and they're always about an hour, which
Yeah.
is just perfect. Yeah.
And they're really well crafted. These
Yeah.
are expert
Well-produced.
storytellers weaving a really eloquent hour of beginning, middle, and end.
Yes, and you're so right that so many comedians do come to their comedy from pain and from trying to deal with the pain in their
Yeah.
lives. So it does help us humans relate to how other people have dealt with things, because we all have stuff.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
check them out if you haven't already. And then her listen is the most creative one I've ever heard.
Oh.
Yeah. So usually when people recommend a listen, it is a piece of music or a podcast or a musical theater track or something. And Caroline's was intriguing. It was listen to people I disagree with. Bam!
Yeah.
That was so awesome. It was like, it took it in a direction that I never would have. I love that.
Cool.
And you put that because...
Because I don't do it well, and when I do it, I am transformed. I'm better for having done it, and it's more likely that they'll in turn listen to me. So there's like a selfish end to it. But I really, and the Tao Te Ching actually helped teach me to do that.
Oh, cool.
Because this idea that contradictions, there's room in the infinite world for contradictions. So it's, a chair and also it's not a chair. And so you have to figure out, how is it a chair and not a chair? And people around me give me the opportunity all the time for me to say, it's a chair, and they say, no, it's not. And so I have to, in the moment, actually become a mind that can encompass both views, both experiences. And it's
Absolutely.
harder when we're not talking about chairs. I'll tell you that.
It is.
It gets really tricky sometimes. It happened last night with my wife, and I didn't do it well. But I am practicing.
Always learning, always growing.
Always learning, always
growth,
growing.
Growth
Always learning,
mindset.
always growing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You
Thank
guys
you
help
so
me
much.
thanking Caroline Murphy
Thank you
for
so much.
performing and for your Read Watch Listen. Thank you.